San Antonio Water Systems initiated Stage 2 water rules after a dry May and a drop in the Edwards Aquifer. That means that residents are restricted to using sprinklers or their irrigation systems on only certain days and times. Joining us now to talk more about it from SAWS is Karen Guz. Karen, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, of course, you guys did switch us into Stage 2, so for the folks that aren't aware, tell us what Stage 2 means.
So it means you still have your watering day that's based on the last digit of your street address, and then you water on your day if you're using spray irrigation between 7 and 11 in the morning and or 7 and 11 in the evening.
So essentially what you guys did is you took the time and you kind of crunched down the window a little bit. I've had a lot of viewers ask me, does that really make a difference if you're watering at 7 p.m. versus 8 p.m.? Can you tell us about that?
Well, what it's really about is just getting people to moderate how much water they're applying on their watering day. For homeowners, maybe it doesn't change the amount of water because we really don't need 8 hours to get the watering done. But for businesses, sometimes they have to cut back a little bit. And
you actually mentioned via email, and I'm glad you pointed this out, some people aren't aware. We say you're allowed to water once per week, but technically, correct me if I'm wrong, on your day, you can water once in the morning and once on that evening, correct?
Yes, you can. And in fact, if you've got a hilly landscape, it's a good idea to apply half of that water in the morning and half in the evening, get it a chance to soak into the soil really well.
Okay, so one of the things we were talking about is whether or not you guys ever look at our weather forecasts in order to determine whether we have Stage 2 and 3, and you were telling me there's actually kind of a difference between Stage 2 and 3 based on the forecast.
Very much so. Stage 2 is something that we go into as soon as we hit the trigger. Stage 3 is one where we look at what's happening, including the weather forecast, how our supplies are looking, and what customer demand is like, and ask the question, do we need further restrictions in order to reduce demand? And the answer so far has always been no, and so we're hoping it's going to be no again this year.
And I was actually surprised. You said it's always no, meaning San Antonio historically has never hit Stage 3.
Yeah, the Edwards Aquifer Authority has imposed Stage 3 pumping reductions on San Antonio Water System, but because we've got some other non-Edwards supplies, aquifer storage and recovery and some other things, and our customers cut back in Stage 2, we've never had to go to Stage 3 restrictions for customers.
That's great, and I learned something myself today. So once we hit the trigger point and below for Stage 2, even if the weather guys like me are saying there's a big chance of rain, doesn't matter. We go into Stage 2, which is what happened. But with Stage 3, then if we're saying there's a chance of rain, you guys actually might hold off.
And it's a combination of things. The rain, how our supplies are holding, and our supplies are very good. We've added new supplies in recent years. So that combination of customers already cutting back, the supplies looking good, and then hopefully we're headed for fall and some relief in not too long.
And this is Texas. We have a lot of people that remain vigilant. So it's kind of the old adage, if you see something, say something. So talk to the viewers about if you want to report somebody, say you saw a neighbor who's not following the rules, what would you do?
What you can do is go online, go to saws.org, and right there on the front page there's going to be a little form to fill out. If you feel that you're, say, reporting a business where it could be confusing, where they're having a problem, you can upload a picture if you want to, but we don't need it. What we're going to do is just remind the responsible party of what the rules are. Now, if you report that multiple times, it's going to mean maybe whoever it is at that location didn't pay attention, and then we might send officers out. Only officers issue citations, but your giving us information on where there are problems helps people understand what the rules are, maybe take them a little more seriously.
Okay, so that's important to know. So it's never somebody that works for SAWS that'll come to your house. It'll actually be an officer that comes to you.
It's either a SAWS employee who's been specially trained or a police officer who's the witness of a violation.
Okay.
We take in a lot of citizen reports and we get the word out to the responsible party as much as we possibly can, and really pretty fast, and that makes a big difference. But hearsay is never how officers write up citations.
Right, I was actually going to mention, I'm glad you mentioned that. So speaking of a violation, it sounds like people might get a warning first. They wouldn't right away get fined?
That's up to the police officer. If an officer sees that you have a violation going on at your property, they're probably going to write a ticket right away, to be honest, because we've been in now for a couple weeks, and I think they figure people should know their day.
I hate to put you on the spot, but just in terms of dollars, do you know the range of a fine?
Well, it's a city law, so it goes to municipal courts. And it's typically been around $127 in the past.
Okay, so you definitely want to follow it, and you may have to make an appearance in court. Nobody would want to do that either.
No, nobody really wants to do that.
So the name of the game, follow the rules. But thank you so much, Karen. Really good advice, and hopefully everybody will follow those water rules. We're going to have more news. Stay tuned.